implicit bias, and most importantly, remind the jurors that they have the skill and ability to be neutral and unbiased, even if they aren't completely aware of all of the biases that they have. I think when you combine this education piece that we have with educating jurors, having a judge continually remind a jury about their skill and capability, what we end up having are results that are incredibly similar to Foch's study in getting these individuals to reduce their bias. Now, what's really interesting about this study, and I just want to hit this point before we move into the question and answer, that they decided that they would do some extended post tests. So in some instances, they interviewed participants from the study up to a year later, and that these individuals reported that they still were aware of that implicit bias, that they were still motivated to keep it in check and keep it in control. So it's very, very, very important that when we choose to add these elements to assist the judicial system with empowering jurors, that we ensure we do this in a way that comes from excellent, peer-reviewed, and evidence-based research. Thank you very much. So, any questions? Yes?
Would you see an instance where lawyers might not want to get rid of jurors' implicit bias because they might, like if their prosecution or defense, like the implicit bias might help them? Would you see that might?
Yes, yeah, I mean, do I really know if a lawyer really would like some implicit bias? I don't know about that, because I mean, since it sort of rubs on this, unconscious level, it's hard to tell which way that would go. I think that the issue is that it is present in the way that a jury makes a decision, and so it's important for the judicial system to be able to address this concept in a way to help neutralize it, so that a person who did not commit a crime isn't sent to jail for committing a crime, or a person that might be being sued civilly does receive or does not receive what they deserve in that civil litigation. So we don't want someone getting $1 million just because we have a group of jurors who seem to collectively run on an unconscious bias. That just perverts justice. And so by understanding how we can at least attempt to reduce that can help control for some of those pieces. Any other questions? Yes?
Do you think that implicit bias kind of feeds into this sense of the justice system being adversarial?
Ooh, that is a really interesting question. I mean, by nature, the system is adversarial. And I think that probably could trigger certain biases. We certainly see that in the concepts around plaintiff attorneys are just out to for a fast grab of cash. And some people see that on a conscious level, some people see that on an unconscious level. But I'm not sure. I mean, that's a great question. I would believe that the adversarialness of a trial, even though that there's a certain level of decorum that goes on in the courtroom, would definitely be a trigger, I think, psychologically for certain people. That's a great question. I like that one. Thank you. But I wish I could give you a more complete answer. That's the best I can do right at this given moment. Any other questions? All right, great. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for taking your time to come and learn a little bit more about implicit bias.